want to understand the meaning of life, we need to expand the scope and scale of consciousness so that we're better able to understand the nature of the universe and understand the meaning of life. That is the foundation of my philosophy, is that I am curious about the nature of the universe, and and obviously I will die. I don't know when I'll die, but I won't live forever. But I would like to know that we're on a path to understanding the nature of the universe and the meaning of life, and what questions to ask about the answer that is the universe. And so if we expand the scope and scale of humanity and consciousness in general, which includes silicon consciousness, then that seems like a fundamentally good thing.
To engineer is divine. You can make lots of arguments as well. We're either here to entertain ourselves, or we're here to create something that's beautiful or something that's functional. I think if you're an engineer, you entertain yourself by creating something that's both beautiful and functional. So I think all three of those things, it's entertaining, but it's ethical. You got to admire the first person that built a bridge crossing a chasm, or the first person to work out the problem of how to get running water to a village, or the first person that figured out how to, dam up a river, or mastered agriculture, or the guy that figured out, how to grow fruit on trees or created orchards, and maybe one day he had like 10 fruit trees. He's pretty proud of himself. Isn't there something beautiful about making the world a better place for people that you love, your friends, your family, or yourself? When you think about the entire arc of human existence, and you roll the clock back 500,000 years, and you think about every struggle of everyone that came before us and everything they had to overcome in order to put you here right now. If I dropped you 500,000 years ago and I said, figure out steel refining, or figure out silicon chips, fabric production, or whatever it is. And so now we're here, and I guess the way you repay them is you fix everything in front of your face you can, right? And that means to someone like Elon, it means get us off the planet. To someone like me, it's like, I think, fix the energy in the system.
I was about 12 years old. I wondered, I didn't care much about my own mortality, but I was worried about the fact that if my consciousness disappeared, would the entire universe disappear? That was frightening, but I stopped being bothered by it. It's kind of like Woody Allen in one of his films, you may recall. He goes to a shrink when he's a child, and the shrink asks him, what's your problem? He says, I just learned that the universe is expanding. I can't handle that. There's no general answer. We determine what the meaning of it is. Meaning in the sense of significance, not meaning in the sense that chair means this, but the significance of your life is something you create.
I think if you do all of the, if I just take the values that I'm sure we share and extrapolate from them, I think the following thing is actually a moral imperative. Being a human and having opportunity is absolutely fucking awesome, right? A lot of people don't make use of the opportunity, and a lot of people don't have opportunity, right? They get to be human, but they're too constrained by keeping a roof over their heads to really be free. But being a free human is fantastic. And being a free human on this beautiful planet, crippled as it may be, is unparalleled. I mean, what could be better? How lucky are we that we get that, right? So if that's true, that it is awesome to be human and to be free, then surely it is our obligation to deliver that opportunity to as many people as we can. And how do you do that? Well, I think I know what job one is. Job one is we have to get sustainable. The way to get the maximum number of humans to have that opportunity to be both here and free is to make sure that there isn't a limit on how long we can keep doing this. That effectively requires us to reach sustainability. And then at sustainability, you could have a horror show of sustainability, right? You could have a totalitarian sustainability. That's not the objective. The objective is to liberate people. And so the question, the whole fourth frontier question, frankly, is how do you get to a sustainable, an indefinitely sustainable state in which people feel liberated, in which they are liberated to pursue the things that actually matter, to pursue beauty, truth, compassion, connection, all of those things that we could list as unalloyed goods, those are the things that people should be most liberated to do in a system that really functions. I don't know how precise that calculation is, but I'm pretty sure it's not wrong. It's accurate enough. And if it is accurate enough, then the point is, okay, well, there's no ultimate meaning, but the proximate meaning is that one. How many people can we get to have this wonderful experience that we've gotten to have?
Anyone can choose their own meaning of life because we are a conscious entity and it's beautiful. I do think that like a deeper meaning of life, if someone is interested, is along the lines of like, what the hell is all this? And like, why? If you look at into fundamental physics and the quantum field theory and the standard model, they're like very complicated. There's this 19 free parameters of our universe. What's going on with all this stuff? And why is it here? And can I hack it? Can I work with it? Is there a message for me? Am I supposed to create a message? And so I think there's some fundamental answers there. But I think there's actually even you can't actually really make dent in those without more time. And so to me also there's a big question around just getting more time, honestly. I don't know that people fully realize this. I kind of feel like people think of death as an inevitability, but at the end of the day, this is a physical system. Some things go wrong. It makes sense why things like this happen, evolutionarily speaking. And there's most certainly interventions that mitigate it. I don't really buy all these ideas that, without death, there's no meaning, there's nothing as... I don't intuitively buy all those arguments. I think there's plenty of meaning, plenty of things to learn. They're interesting, exciting. I want to know, I want to calculate. I want to improve the condition of all the humans and organisms that are alive. I love the idea that people can just choose their own adventure. Like you are born as a conscious, free entity by default, I'd like to think.
For most of human existence, the meaning of life was very, very simple. Survival. The only thing that humans cared about was just surviving, because it was so damn difficult for the early years of human existence on this earth. If you look at ourselves as biological agents, everything about our body is set up for one mission, and that is survival. Every reflex we have, every element of our structure is just built up on the battle to survive. And then humans did something remarkable. They elevated themselves through the use of technology and social structure to the top of the food chain, so that they went from extremely vulnerable. If you take a naked human being alone and put them in the Serengeti plains in Africa, they're in some deep shit. Okay, if you look at a human being as a survival organism, just by itself, naked, they are among the most feeble at that task in the entire animal kingdom. You compare us with predatory animals, we are weak and soft and easily killed. But if you take that same human and put him in a group and you give him basic technology, steel, a spear, a knife, he goes from the bottom of the food chain to pretty much at the top. And so humanity found itself in a crisis that emerged out of its own success. For most of its history, their only interest was the battle to survive, and they did it. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. They got through ice ages, droughts, famines, disease, everything. And they found a way to get to the top of the food chain. And that's where it all got interesting. Because an organism whose only interest was in survival had, for the first time in their history, a more or less guaranteed survival. And so the big question now is, now what? We survived. There's no more danger. The average human being finds himself in a world now where there's almost zero danger from predatory animals, where getting a meal is the easiest thing ever, where getting to and from work is not problematic at all, where the majority of infectious diseases, medical complaints can be resolved in a hospital fairly easily. And so they start casting their mind around, okay, what do I do now? And so the minute mankind's existence became more or less guaranteed, the problems shift from survival to meaning. And we found ourselves grappling with a whole new issue that had never occurred to our ancient forefathers, but which now becomes one of the centerpieces of our modern lives. What one person will describe as a meaningful life, another person will decry as meaningless or wasted. There's something terrible about the idea that we're sitting around waiting for meaning to show up on our doorstep. But what I find the best people do is they take charge of it, and they look at their lives in a form of authorship, where they see their life as a tale to be written, and they do their best to write that tale and put as much control over the direction of this story as they can. In the end, we all have to just try and write our own story. We all have our own interests. Nonetheless, I do believe that there is a great value in the idea of living for something bigger than yourself. The moment you see yourself as the be-all and end-all of your existence, you're in for a meaningless life, and nothing will ever satisfy you. You can have all the money in the world, you can have all the power in the world, you'll be empty inside. I do believe that humans have a deep and abiding need to follow the interests of a group bigger than themselves as an individual. Is it ideal? No. Is it an answer to the meaning of life? No, because eventually that group will itself die out. So there's a sense in which it just plays a kind of delaying game. But I do believe that in order to live a happy life, meaning is a central part of that, and the deepest sense of meaning, to find something which hopefully does very little harm to the people around you and mostly benefits them, which enables you to become part of a community and to live, as I said, for something larger than you as an individual. It was hard to win the battle for survival, but it's 10 times harder to win the battle for meaning.